With social program fights, some Republicans fear being seen as the party of the 1%. President Trump, shown above Friday at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, has released a budget proposal that includes funding cuts to many popular federal programs. Joshua Roberts, but a growing number of Republicans fear that it risks being tagged as the party of the 1%, instead handing Democrats a potent political message as the GOP pushes to gut former President Barack Obama's health care law and other popular federal programs, including those that help the poor and people with disabilities. A spate of policy moves in recent weeks by Republican lawmakers and Trump administration officials has driven the party's agenda hard to the right, giving new fodder to Democratic presidential candidates eager to shift the national debate to such issues as health care and jobs ahead of the 2020 election. The administration's budget released this month, for example, includes massive rollbacks of programs including Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security disability insurance, as well as cuts to the Special Olympics, Meals on Wheels, and programs related to autism and other developmental disabilities. Trump signaled his misgivings about some of those cuts in recent days, used Special Olympics funding, which had sparked a bipartisan backlash, and promising to protect a cleanup program for the Great Lakes and states that could be crucial to his re-election. Democrats said the broad efforts by Trump and Republicans to attack programs that aid lower-income and working-class Americans could help blunt the president's populist appeal and provide voters with more reasons to consider supporting Democratic candidates. The debate bears echo on Capitol Hill. The reaction is "Make my day, Republic." Kurt Schrader The policy blitz reflects the deeply conservative agenda at the core of Trump's administration. It is led by many, coupled with fallout from the 35-day government shutdown that ended in January and a GOP tax plan that to the wealthy. Republicans once again find themselves on the defensive, fending off Democrats who say they're not just the party of Trump but also of the rich and powerful. And they face growing questions of empathy on issues including the crush of asylum-seeking families at the southern border and disaster aid to Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, which Trump about in a private lunch Tuesday with Senate Republicans. Trump's move this week to focus on eliminating the Affordable Care Act, commonly known as Obamacare, also served to shift attention away from what the president and his allies viewed as vindication. The Attorney General's conclusion that a special counsel did not establish a criminal conspiracy between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. He has a penchant for distracting from the news, good or bad, apparently, House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer DMD said. Republicans' difficult balancing act on health care and other social programs was epitomized by congressional testimony this week from Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who forcefully defended her agency's request to cut billions from the budget. Democrats attacked Trump's political team was initially combative on the issue. A spokesman but the national outcry about the fate of Special Olympics funding including among such as Senior Roy Blunt RM, the Special Olympics will be funded, Trump told reporters Thursday. I have overridden my similar Republican divisions flared on health care this week as Trump decided to effectively revive efforts to throttle Obama's health care law, which has survived 9 years of GOP attempts to kill it, even as it has expanded in scope and popularity. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, a former conservative firebrand in the House, a court filing from the Justice Department on Monday arguing that the law should be thrown out in its entirety, including provisions protecting millions of Americans with pre-existing health conditions and allowing young adults to stay on their parents' plans. Congressional Republicans, already on edge after seeing Democrats use health care to help win back the House majority, were immediately lukewarm to the move. Although wary of Dear GOP when Democrats are setting themselves ablaze by advocating for the destruction of American health care, try to resist the temptation of asking them to pass the kerosene, tweeted Josh Holmes, a Republican consultant and former chief of staff to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell R. Kentucky. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy R. California. privately urged if the Supreme Court rules that Obamacare is out, we'll have a plan that is far better than Obamacare, Trump told reporters Wednesday. McConnell, who would need to shepherd any health care legislation through the Senate, has been muted in his response, Politico on Thursday, that his priority on the issue is countering Democrats. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders also showed no signs of backtracking, issuing a statement that railed against Democrats as promoters of a socialist agenda who sold Obamacare on lies and empty promises. The president, when he feels momentum, he leaps, said senior Kevin Cramer. But, he added with a laugh, I am not sure I'd advise it that way. Mulvaney has worked closely with acting White House Budget Director Russell T. Vought, a former congressional staffer with links to prominent conservative leaders. Vought also coordinated the rollout of Trump's sweeping budget plan, which, including a 5% reduction across a range of programs dealing with foreign aid, environmental protection, and transportation, among other initiatives. Democrats, meanwhile, saw an opening this week to win new attention for their domestic policy agenda, following the end of Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller's Russia probe and to court voters who may be unsettled by the GOP. House Speaker Nancy Still, health care has been treacherous territory for both parties. It took 8 years, but for now, Democrats in Congress and on the campaign trail are rallying against Trump and the Republicans on traditional U and preferential U battlegrounds such as health care, social programs, and federal spending. Senior Elizabeth Warren, Laura Meckler, Damian Paletta, and Felicia Sonmay contributed to this report.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,